Hey YouTube, Matty's Daddy 12, Team JMT, coming to you guys with the latest of my understanding stuns. And in this one, I'm going to talk about the new ban list and what we can expect out of the new meta. So with the banning of Glow Bulb and Spore and the restricting of Tengu to 2 and everything else that's happened on the list, plants are dead, agents are not dead, but they're slowed. Just a lot of different things that they've done have slowed down a lot of the things that you're going to see in the past meta. And I feel like what they've done is really narrowed the meta down into 3 decks and 3 decks only that you're going to see at highly competitive tournaments. And it's just not my original thought. I mean, everybody on YouTube has been talking about it. It's pretty well the consensus through YouTube that we're going to see 3 decks and 3 decks only in the highly competitive level. So let's look at those decks. First, I have Insectors, represented by Hornet, Centipede, and Dark Arm Dragon. This deck is basically going to summon their Insector, equip Hornet, pop Hornet to pop a card on your side of the field, and then rinse and repeat. But what they have at their disposal is Dark Arm Dragon. They have very good control over the cards in their graveyard. So Dark Arm Dragon is more often than not live for them. So Insectors didn't really have a great showing at YCS Atlanta. I was expecting them to do a lot better than what they did. They did make the top tables, and they did actually make top 32, several of them, but I was expecting them to do a lot better than what they actually did. Next, I want to talk about windups, which I believe actually got about 50%. I believe there was 15 of the top 32 were wind-up decks at YCS Atlanta. And that's basically what you're going to see a lot of. I mean, wind-ups have the Hunter loop where they're going to be able to eliminate your hand, or at least most of it. They also have Factory. With that combined with Wind-Up Rabbit, they're going to be able to gain just multiple pluses on not just their turn, but yours also. And then Zen Mains, Zen Mighty, just all of their Exceed monsters that they can make, that's going to give them a chance to swarm the field. It's going to be able to give them the chance to swarm the field. It's going to be able to give them access into your hand through the Hunter loop. They're able to exceed into so much stuff. It's kind of ridiculous the amount of exceeding that windups can actually do. So that's another one. I feel like this is probably the most versatile of all the 3 decks that we're going to see the most of. I feel like this is probably going to be the deck that's going to give us the most problem, just because of how versatile it can actually be. Last but not least, Dino Rabbit. I feel like this is probably going to be the best stun deck in the format. If you really want to call it a stun deck. Because that's basically what it is. It controls what your opponent is wanting to do. It is the best control deck in the format, and it's probably going to be that way throughout the format. But you got the 3 Sabersaurus, which is actually a really good card for them against stun. Surprisingly enough, a lot of times when they draw into this card, they lose because they want these cards in their deck to use Rabbit to bring them out. But if they draw into these guys, they're 1900 beaters. They can trade out with our Thunder Kings and our Doom Cows and run over a lot of the other stuff that we're playing. So this guy's a lot better for them against us than it is in a lot of other matchups. Guava is another good card that they're going to be able to bring out other copies of to make more guys. And this is one of the few decks in the meta that's going to be able to play Dimensional Fissure also. And I feel like that's one of the things that makes it as controlling as it actually is, along with the Logia and Doka plays. So let's talk about a few cards that we can main deck or side deck to answer some of these problems. First, we'll talk about Insectors. I've got Kaiku and Banisher the Radiance picked out. Kaiku, you can limit the number of Hornets in their graveyard by attacking, dealing damage, and then removing the Hornets, which is going to be a problem for them because, like I said, a lot of their big plays are going to be made off of popping Hornet and blowing up the card on our side of the field, which they're not going to be able to if the Hornet is not in the graveyard. And then, of course, Banisher the Radiance does exactly the same thing for you. Anything sent to the graveyard is destroyed or is banished instead. So both of those are going to be able to eliminate the Hornet from the graveyard for you. Which is going to be great because once Hornet is no longer an option for them, the deck slows down and is really not able to make all the plays that it should be able to. Next, we'll talk about windups. And with windups, you've got your DD Crow, which can eliminate the Hunter loop because you can then DD Crow the Hunter if it stays in your hand long enough. You can DD Crow the Hunter. You also should be main decking Effect Veilers, which are going to be a great option for you to use against the Hunter loop also. But DD Crow, once Hunter does hit the graveyard, you can DD Crow it and get rid of it. Next, King Tiger Wangu. A lot of the plays that this deck makes is made off of small monsters, and with King Tiger Wangu out there, you're able to destroy those monsters as soon as they come out, and they're not able to make those plays because they first have to get over him. So those are a couple more other cards that you guys can consider main decking or side decking. These are a couple cards for Dino Rabbit that's probably going to be making the cut into your main deck. First, we'll talk about Spirit Reaper. Dino Rabbit has a big problem with Spirit Reaper. They don't run a lot of answers to it. They have a hard time getting over it. And it's a good quality card. You can eat up some Solemn Warnings with it. You can do just a lot of stuff with this. Nobody likes getting hit for the 300 and getting a card taken out of their hand. So they will warning this card. They will get rid of this card with everything they can. So they don't have to worry about Reaper. The one thing that they will run that will be an answer to Reaper is Forbidden Lance. They will lance the Reaper, which will, of course, kill it. But yeah, that's not always the case that they have. But yeah, Reaper is a really good card against them. Next, we have Smashing Ground, which is a great card that you're probably already main decking also for this deck. If they have a Logia out and you smash, they have to negate the smashing with the Logia. If they don't, Logia is gone. So they have to negate the smashing with Logia. And then with Dolka, it's the same situation. You just smash it, and they no longer have their big monster. Smashing Ground, I mean, it seems like a neg 1 when you do that. However, we can get over the 2300 and the 2400 Logia and Dolkas with our Blackluster Soldier, and then we can remove them with our Chaos Sorcerers. And we can make plays that way, where we don't have to have Dark Hole or something along those lines to try to kill them, because we can just bring out the one smashing and try to smash that monster, forcing them into using their effects. Next, I want to talk about one last card, because I feel like this is, and don't feel like these are the only cards that you can use against this, because obviously DD Crow will work against the Insectors also, because you can DD Crow the Hornet, and of course Banisher and Kaiku can work for the Hunter, removing it from the graveyard if you can get the poke in there to get rid of it. But those are just some examples. And, of course, like King Tiger Wangu will, of course, answer the Insectors, because all of their monsters are so small that they're going to get all be eaten up by King Tiger Wangu. But last, I want to talk about Compulsive Evacuation Device. This was a card that I started off the last format with in my Chaos Stun, and it eventually just slowly worked its way out of the deck, and I really don't have any good reason why, to be honest with you. It really should have stayed in the deck, and it just slowly worked its way out of there. Could be a reason why I've had so much trouble on my Chaos Stun towards the end of this format. But I feel like this is a really good card for you. They can summon the Insector, you can bounce it, and they don't have the chance to tribute the Hornet. You can bounce the Exceed monsters, negging them. These guys are going to bring out their Exceed monsters also. So you can bounce their Exceed monsters, negging them also. And then these guys, you can always compulse the Dolkas, which wrecks them, because they've spent a lot of resources getting that guy out. And then this compulse also kind of serves the same purpose as Smashing Ground whenever you're dealing with Logia, because they have to negate this card. So if you're sitting there with this, yeah, it may take you 2 cards to get rid of the Logia, But these are two cards that are fairly easily come across for you, because you're probably main decking 2 Smashing and 1 to 2 Compulse also. And if I'm going to have to lose resources to a Logia, these are probably the ones that I would rather lose than some others. But basically what I'm trying to point out with this video is that if you look at the cards that are available to you compared to the 3 decks that I feel like are going to be highly competitive, I feel like there's not just 3 decks that are going to be competitive in this format. I really feel like there's going to be 4. I really feel like we're going to have Insectors, Windups, Dino Rabbit, and I feel like we're going to see a lot of Stun variants. I feel like Stun is going to be the 4th deck to enter this meta, and I feel like it's going to be just as good, properly built and properly played as any of the rest of these decks. And I really hope that you guys look at it the same way, and I really hope you guys put as much effort into your Stun decks as what I'm trying to put into mine, because I really feel like that we can wreck this meta with our Stun decks, where a lot of the other times the meta was just so fast that we weren't able to do so before. So yeah, guys, there you go. There's just some of my thoughts on the new ban list, on what we can do as Stun players to answer the new ban list. I hope you guys appreciate it. I hope you guys learned a little something. Make sure you guys check me out on Facebook. I'll have a link down in the description below. And like always, guys, I appreciate it. Subscribe, comment down below, show us how much you love us.